Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. I wanted to take a minute to tell you about the things we're working on here at the channel in case you are a new viewer or you're just kind of curious about what happened to some of the projects we're working on. So let me try to remember everything we have going on here. I don't have any notes, so I'm trying to go strictly by memory. But we have an Azour project that we're working on. And I think right now I have about 14, 15 blocks finished for that. I think it's going to be 20 is our final number that we came up with. Maybe I have a few more than that. I don't recall. Anyway, we are well on our way. Now that particular project we are covering on a video every other Friday on the channel. And we've covered every block we've created. I have a couple that we were not able to get a video out of, and if we have time we may go back and redo those, or we may just let them go as they are, covering most of the blocks we have. But it's going to be a wall hanging and it's going to have sashing in it, and we are still working on that actively, and it should go through as promised this year. We should be finished with it before the end of the year, at least the top itself. Now another thing, we have just, well, I have just completed the filming and the editing of our Christmas in July projects, and that's going to conclude the last Wednesday in July. We made a quilt top of the Bringing Home the Christmas Tree pattern from the Vintage Christmas book by Lori Holt. It was a lot of fun. It is machine piecing, and it went together much faster than I thought it would. So the next steps on that project will be to get the quilt sandwiched. I have decided to back it in the same fabric that we used for the background of the quilt, simply for simplicity's sake, because I couldn't find another fabric that I really thought went well with it. And I do want to get this finished before the holiday season. It will likely be machine quilted very lightly for this year, and it might be something that we come back at a later time and add more quilting to. I'm just not sure at this point, but I did want to get that moving along. So I will be sandwiching it probably in the next week or so and starting on the quilting. And we will bring you along for some videos here and there with the progress on that. Now, what else are we working on? Well, we've been working on a project called Jack's Chain, and that is an EPP project that we're working on. It's a scrappy quilt. We've used mostly scraps in the colored fabric, just purchasing the white fabric for the background and a couple of extra fabrics to supplement what I already had. Most of that quilt top is done, and it could be finished as it is. I'm trying to decide whether I want to add a little bit more pieces to kind of even out the corners and the sides, because you know, sometimes with EPP you get kind of a wavy or a jagged edge on those because of the pieces and the shapes of the pieces. So I'm trying to make some final decisions about that. I was finally able to determine what fabric that really was that we used, and I do have something that I think is a match for it, but it is otherwise very close to it, and just using it for the borders of it will be a good choice. And that one I probably will have some videos coming soon on that as well. What else do we have going on? Because we've covered foundation paper piecing with our Azour. We've covered machine piecing with our Bringing Home the Christmas Tree, and we have EPP on our Jack's Chain. We also have an applique project, Miss Karen. Now this is Miss Kelly on the wall, but we do have Miss Karen that we're working on. I've run into a bit of a problem with that because I thought I had more fabric. That dark green dragonfly fabric that the border is made out of on that Miss Karen project, they are not selling it. I went in there not too long ago and they had a bolt of it on the shelf, and now that I need it, they don't have it. So I'm going to make probably one more trip over to see if it's been restocked, and if it has not, I'm going to have to buy something that closely coordinates with it for the binding, because that piece is ready to be trimmed and bound, and we're just trying to find that fabric. So that has delayed us a little bit on that. But like I said, if I don't find it the next time I go in, then we're just going to find something to use instead and move forward with it. And it will be a project about this size. It'll be very close. It was designed with its borders to fit in this frame, so it could be used just like this. So that is very close to being finished, and I think that probably within the next 3 weeks it should be done. I'm adding up how much I'm promising to be done, and I don't want to over commit, but I want to give you an idea of where we are. Now, as far as when it's done and when the video comes out, a lot of that depends on how quickly it can be filmed and edited and where it fits in the schedule with things going on. I anticipate that the month of August is going to be a lot of updates, videos on updates of projects and where we are, and some things that have already been filmed and not edited and published yet. What else do we have? Spring Burst. Spring Burst we started in the spring of 2024, and it became just a mega project in the number of pieces that thing went through. But just as of last night, I put the last diamonds on that quilt top. So I will have a couple of update videos coming soon on that. And at this point now, I think I have an idea of how I'm going to finish it off. It is a round, it is a octagon shape. If speaking technically, it's octagon, and the edges are all the pointy edges of diamonds that are sticking out. So it is going to have to be appliqued onto a border to be able to finish it up, and I think I have an idea of how to finish the edges so that we can come into a shape that's not an octagon, and I'm working on that actively. Like I said, I just finished the white pieces last night. Ideas in the head, and we're going to move forward with that here in the studio next week, and probably in the videos maybe towards the end of August. I have one video on an update of that we did a little while back, and I'll bring that to you, and then hopefully we'll move into this assembly phase that we can cover as well. And is that all? We tried the Hunter Star project, and I was not happy with the way that came together and the complications of how that was going to have to be sewn. So I am looking for an alternative to that. My guess is that we could get started with something before the end of the year, but I'm just going to kind of wait and see. We have a lot of things out there half done, and that's beginning to weigh on me a bit. I need to finish up some things before I start new things. And speaking of finishing up things, let's talk about quilting, because I have at least 2 queen-size quilt tops that still need to be sandwiched and hand quilted, and trying to decide which one of those is going to come first, because one of them is on the docket to be done as soon as the weather turns cool. It's still running in the 90s here, so I'm not particularly interested in quilting in a lap quilt or lap hoop. So it's going to have to drop in temperature before I get started on that. But in the meantime, it still needs to be sandwiched and backing chosen. And if we're going to do it in a hoop, it has to be basted or pinned. So lots of work there. I did want to mention very briefly that every video you see on the screen, please keep in mind that the time is needed to pre-sew to get to the point where I can start filming. We have filming that's done, and usually that runs at least 1.5 times the length of what you see. Sometimes it's even more than that. Sometimes it could be double. And the time that we're filming, that we're pressing or we're ripping out things or we're just sewing seams that get condensed, the filming could be pretty long. And then usually it takes about twice the time of a video, sometimes 3 times, to edit it and get it uploaded. And we have made some improvements in that regard as far as getting editing and uploading done. So that has helped a little bit. But for every, let's say, every 20-minute video you see, there's probably 2 hours to 3 hours of work that goes into that to be able to present it to you. So please be patient with me because I am my own staff and I have no one helping me do that, so it's all on me to get it done. And I'm trying to work through these half-finished projects so we can get some finished and then be able to create some new beautiful things. I don't want this to run too long. I hope that a couple other quick things. We started last year a design your own quilt, and it was a black background with little bees on it in the fabric with a huge sunflower. I haven't forgotten about that, but that takes a lot of creative energy, and I just really determined that I just didn't have it in me right now with trying to do everything else. And we've put that on the back burner. It's in a project box, and at some point we'll get back to it, but that's not right now. And then the other thing is I am trying to design my own applique pattern. And I've got the concept in mind. I've got some of the pattern pieces, the little templates for the applique cut out. I'm looking at the sketch of it over here. The problem that I'm encountering with that, and I'll put this out as a question to you and maybe you can help me. The challenge is I could go ahead and put it together and have a beautiful pattern and project that we look at and you can see how it's put together. We can display it on the wall and love it that way. But I'm having difficulty translating that into a pattern that can be duplicated on PDF to have available to share either through a free share or selling it at a nominal cost. And that is my holdup because I did a project late last year called Sugar Plum Lights, which was a table runner featuring some kind of vintagey Christmas lights. And I have tried almost a whole year to be able to figure out how to translate that finished piece into a pattern. And every time I go down a path that either requires me to spend a lot of money, which I'll never get back, or tools that I don't have, and I have been unable to find a resource that can help me. And by that I mean there's no one in my circle of friends and acquaintances and family that has the skill to help me translate that into a finished design. And I've even tried some AI to see if AI could take a picture of it and translate it into a pattern, and that just didn't work out very well. So I am still working on it, and if I ever get to the point where I do that, then I'll move forward with that project. But it's kind of chicken and egg thing, which comes first, and right now I'm trying to figure out that pattern part before I go forward with the project. Okay, so that's where we are, and a little bit about where we might be going over the next few months. Like I said, I think that August is going to be, we're going to have our standard Azour blocks that will come out every other Friday. We will have a lot of updates in August about projects we're working on, trying to bring you up to date with what's going on with those. And then I really don't have a plan yet for September. It's going to be back to school, and I kind of thought a little bit about the ideas of covering some techniques and some how-to videos. I think that would be very useful, and it may have interest with the viewership. If you like that idea, please leave a comment below and share that with me, what you might like to learn that we could cover in a 15-20 minute video. And then for the fall and into the holidays, that's still up in the air. We'll let you know as we get a little bit closer what we're going to do. Thanks for listening to me rant today, my unfiltered thoughts and my unscripted monologue, but that should give you a little bit of idea of what's going on around here. As always, we appreciate you spending time with us and sharing some quilting fun in the studio. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Be sure to add your comments. What would you like to see? What would you like to do? What type of quilting is your passion? What don't you know anything about and you want to learn something? Because like with the Azour Project, I had done virtually no foundation paper piecing before we started that. And it's been a great opportunity to learn a new skill. So if you have a skill you'd like to learn, be sure to add it to the comments. I'll take a look at it and see if that's something we might do here. And if it is, we will. Again, thank you for being with me today, and we will see you next week here at the Shamrock Quilt Studio. You have a great week. We'll see you then. Bye.